revise all everything what we discussed up till now. What I mentioned that see the fluid mechanics, fundamental of fluid mechanics is essential. Mathematical equation you should aware about. Then to solve that mathematical equation, there are certain numerical approaches. So you should aware about that all numerical approaches at least. You should aware about. Not I am not telling you you just mastered or you just having a detail and understanding about that, but at least you should aware about minimum understanding of that three is essential. Once you are having that understanding of that three pillars, we are ready to talking about CFD. Now when we are referring CFD, so that is not quite simple. Here I want to explain you the example of elbow. Let's say let's consider the example of elbow. Now I wish to find out the flow inside this elbow. Now if it is a problem of CFD, then see computer don't have any configuration for the elbow. So initially what is the, these are the four major steps. You have to generate the you have to fix the dimension of that elbow. That is the fluid dimension. See, this dimension is actually where the fluid will travel. So that is generally referred as the fluid domain. You have to identify the fluid domain for this elbow, in which you are not required to consider the thickness of elbow, right? Because in that thickness the fluid is not able going to flow. So we are not interested what happened in that thickness. We are only interested what happened inside this passage. So these are the inside passage. Once you finalize your volume, you have to discretize it. That is called as a meshing. When you divide into number of pieces, you have to assign the boundary conditions. Why it is boundary condition? Because the software don't know what actually inlet, what actually outlet, what happen at all the boundaries, because it is a blank box. You have to tell everything, which is not case in the experiment. So you have to tell the computer that this is the inlet, from this passage or from this boundary my fluid will enter, and from this passage or boundary my fluid will come out. So this is inlet and this is outlet boundary condition that you have to specifically mention to the software. Once you assign boundary condition, then you can solve the problem by means of various solvers available in the software. Once the solution has been done, then tedious process, that is called the post-processing process. Now see, it is also tedious job. If it is experimental work, then in case of experimental work, whatever sensor you are attached will give the variables. So there is not bunch of data, only few data which will derived through sensor or instrument. But in the case of CFD, the solver will solve all possible parameters, fluid mechanics parameter, or if it is a heat transfer problem, then heat thermal parameter for this case. That means it will give you the velocity, pressure, temperature, turbulence factor, vorticity, the n number of parameter it will calculate, right? Now you have to decide which are the interested parameter for your problem. So that's why it is tedious job, because from that all garbage or that all bunch of data, you have to identify the required data which will helping you to analyze the problem. So that is why it is also one of the major tasks, that is post processing in the CFD is also major task. Now look into a little bit detail what actually that all four major steps telling you. See, basically first step, you need to identify the geometry of the problem. That geometry can be identified by means of the dimensions available with you. Once you decide the fluid domain, you have to go with the physics. See, physics, that means you have to identify or you have to specify the physics of the problem. That means whether your problem involved any heat transfer or fluid mechanics, whether your problem involved any kind of heat transfer phenomena, whether your fluid flow problem or whether your problem is low speed or high speed problem. Once you define or specify everything, then you have to tell them the fluid property. You have to rectify the appropriate viscous model. You have to assign the boundary condition. If initial condition is known to us, then that also you have to assign to that solver. Once you identified this every physics of the problem, then you can go for the discretization process. Discretization might be it is the structured mesh or unstructured mesh, depending on your skill. You can create that structured or unstructured mesh. Once you generate that mesh, in the solver, right now it is a Fluent as a solver. This many solution options we need to identify. That means whether your problem is study problem or unstudy problem, based on the information you have to put. The number of iteration, number of time step you have to decide. What is the conversion criteria you required for your problem, that also you have to specify. Which are the numerical methods you wish to use to solve your partial differential equation, that also you have to specify. So these are the identification of solver you have to do. Once you identify everything, and then once you start the iteration, it will give the solution and come out with various data with various variables. So with that variables, you have to retrieve what you required. That means like parameter like lift, drag, shear, stress, or etc. From that you can able to plot that, or you can also verify that, or we can say validate that data with available experimental results, and then you can proceed for the post-processing methods. That is, you can actually draw the contours, diagrams, vectors, streamline, animation, etc. So this simple sequencing followed in this any kind of CFD solver, right? Here I want to show you two different cases. See, basically the four major steps, that is geometry creation, mesh creation, solution, and post-processing. Now depending on your problem, the time required in individual steps are different. Like in the case 1, let's say the geometry is complicated, and because complicated geometry required so many effort to create a good mesh. So in this case, the time required in geometry and mesh is larger or more compared to solution and post-processing. Like in some other case, geometry, if it is geometry is simple, the mesh is very easier, but if physics of the problem is complicated, then the solution time and post-processing is complicated. It is time consuming. Now, what mean by physics of the problem? So basically, see, physics of the problem can be identified by this way. Here I am just comparing the complexity level of individual physics of the problem. Physics of the problem, that means either fluid flow problem can laminar or turbulent, that means it's having a viscosity, certain viscosity. So this is the difficulty level, that means it is simplest problem. If you involve certain heat transfer in that difficulty level is little bit increasing. If you involved heat transfer, that means parallelly conduction and convection, if you incorporated, then compared to simple heat transfer, this conjugated heat transfer is little bit complicated. This non-Newtonian, that means your density behavior, fluid flow behavior is completely follow non-Newtonian laws. Then it's more complex than simple viscous problem. If you wish to involve high speed flow, then you have to incorporate compressibility. Then also comparatively it will increase the difficulty level. In that way, if you see, look here, it is a reactive flow. That means if you wish to simulate the combustion, then apart from that continuity, momentum, and energy equation, you need to solve the species transport equations. So it is more complex than simple flow problem. You just look in this phase change phenomena. If you wish to simulate any kind of multi-phase flow problem, then the difficulty level of multi-phase problem is highest in the CFD. Multi-phase, that means parallelly you are dealing with two different phases, either liquid or gas. So that kind of problem is always challenging to solve via CFD, and it required high skill as well as high computational configuration, as well as it is very complex time required problem, that is phase change modeling. Based on geometry, the complexity level is this in this way. It is very simple. The 1D problem is more simpler than 2D. If you wish to solve three-dimensional problem, then obviously time as well as complexity will increase. But this is more important. If one person solving the flow through turbine, which will only incorporated single phase flow problem, so in that case, flow through turbine, you need to spend time in the mesh as well as geometry creation, but the solution is immediately come out. Now, if one person is solving the flow with the multi-phase, so even if it is a simple geometry, but the time required to solve that kind of problem is very tedious, and it required a lot of time. Yeah, what happened actually? I don't know. That presentation was hanged. Yes. Right. Now let's go into detail. See, mesh. When I referred as a mesh, that mesh can be structured or unstructured. See, structured, that means you are all the element having a proportional length and width. If it is unstructured, that means zigzag way of mesh size is referred as unstructured mesh. This is unstructured. This is structured mesh. What are the different types of element? Mesh element is available. These are the two-dimensional mesh element, either triangle or either quadrilateral. These are the three-dimensional mesh element available in any kind of CFD solver. So you can generate mesh according to your skill. If you are having good skill, then definitely the structured mesh is always preferable. It will consume less solution time, but it required very high amount of skill to generate this kind of mesh. It is always not possible to generate structured mesh, but in that case you can use the hybrid mesh. That means wherever it is possible, you just provide the structured mesh, and where it is not possible, you just incorporate the unstructured mesh. This is the problem which will indicating the hybrid type of mesh. Once you create the mesh, the next is you need to assign the boundary condition. Boundary condition can be assigned based on the types of problems. See, there are two different types of problem. You can refer like internal flow problem and external flow problem. What is the difference between these two? In case of internal flow problem, we are only interested in this internal domain, the property change within this domain, that is velocity, pressure, temperature within this domain. So we are just creating that domain itself, and the solution is happen for that particular domain. But let's say if we wish to solve problem in which the flow over sphere or flow over any vehicle or flow over aeroplane. So in that case, we are not interested what happened inside that vehicle or object, but we are more interested what happened on the outer surface or outside of that vehicle, outer periphery of that vehicle. So outer periphery means, that means what, up to which boundary you are interested in. So in that case, you always have to decide up to what length or up to what region you are interested to find out the variables. So if let's say this is the object or vehicle with this much of size, then if flow will travel over this vehicle, definitely on the upstream there are a certain variation happen in the flow. At the same time on the downstream, that is there are a certain variation observed in the flow pattern. So you have to decide the upstream portion as well as downstream portion and width. That is referred as the fluid domain. You have to decide the appropriate fluid domain for such kind of problem. That is external flow problem, right? So external flow dealing of external flow problem is completely different than internal flow problem. Here we are actually solve the equations for outer atmosphere, right? Whatever boundary you are deciding, based on that boundary, the calculation or variables are derived for that flow problem. Now there are several boundary conditions like where if it inlet wherever flow will entered in that domain, that is called the inlet, where it will come out, that is called the outlet. In the inlet you can actually define velocity inlet, pressure inlet, mass flow inlet, or in the same fashion at the outlet you can define pressure, velocity, or mass flow outlet. Same thing you can apply for the internal flow problem, inlet and outlet. You can decide the available condition, available data, whatever available data you have. Now this is the we assign as a wall. Wall, that means that nothing will come out from that particular boundary, will referred as a wall, right? Here also this topmost portion we assigned as a wall because the flow is not come out from this particular passage. Flow will only travel in this direction. So that is also that we can refer as a wall, as well as several other boundary condition you can incorporate a fan, porous media, radiator, like many conditions you can assign. That is purely based on your problem. Based on your problem, we have to decide the appropriate boundary conditions. Once you decide the boundary condition, there are you have to select the solver, appropriate solver inside this Ansys-Fluent. See, Ansys-Fluent having lot of different solver or models available based on your problem. Like let's say if it is you are solving turbulent or laminar problem. If it is laminar problem, then there is no issue. Only one model is available. But if your problem you are dealing with turbulent problem, then this many of models are available within that Fluent, right? Like K epsilon, K omega, SST, Reynolds stress, DES, large eddy simulation. So my point is, what is your requirement? Do you wish to detail investigation of that turbulent nature of flow, or you just require simplicity of solver? So based on that, you have to select the solver. In this way, the K epsilon is more simpler solver compared to that large eddy simulation. So it is purely depending on your choice that whether what is your objective, right? If our objective is to investigate detailed behavior of turbulent, then definitely we should go with the higher order, that is detached eddy simulation or large eddy simulation. But if it is a simple case, then you can go with either K epsilon, K omega, or SST likewise. In the same fashion, if you are dealing with single phase problem, then there is no issue. But if your problem dealing with the multiple phase, that means liquid, vapor, or solid, then these are the multi-phase models are available: volume of fluid, mixture, Euler, wet sink. So based on your problem, the individual model having individual capability, and that is also which one is appropriate for your problem. That is after experience or after the appropriate investigation, you can rectify the appropriate multi-phase model for your problem. Same way, if it is a combustion problem, then for the combustion, to deal the combustion, these are the models available. This is transport, non-premix, premix, partial differential, or PDF model. Like if your combustion case, if you are non-premix, that means we already learned that non-premix, that means the fuel and air is not mixed priorly. It will the mixing of that fuel and air is happen inside the combustion. So in that case, you should you should select with that non-premix model. But priorly, if you are having that air fuel mixture, and that air fuel mixture if you wish to supply it in the combustion chamber, then you should go with the premix combustion model. So accordingly this will work. At the same time, if it is radiative heat transfer case, then these are the this is DOM, surface to surface, DTRM, P1 radiative model. So these are all radiative models, radiation models. If someone wish to investigate the solar radiation or solar panel then they can actually go with this radiation heat transfer models, right? If you wish to investigate the high speed flow, then this equation of state you have to enable. If you wish to work with fuel injection process, then instead of multi-phase models, the separate injection models are available, which will give you the entire atomization phenomena, that is the droplet breakup and vaporization of the droplet. So see, these are the options. See, it is not a simple solver. It's a giant. What I mean to say is there are several there are so many options are available to solve the one particular type of problem. So which options are suitable for your problem, that you have to decide wisely, and with detailed investigation or detailed study understanding only you can decide that a particular thing. Once you identified appropriate solver combination and solve the problem, this is the post-processing unit in which you can able to calculate the magnitude of various variables like pressure, velocity, temperature. I mentioned that there are so many variables: wall shear stress, rotation, vertices, shear stress, turbulence intensity, etc. So many number of parameters associated with fluid flow and heat transfer can that value of that parameter you can retrieve after the solutions, right? You can also derive some indirect parameter like drag force or lift force or moment with the help of this pressure or velocity data. So these are the data you can retrieve. You can also have the two-dimensional contours, which will give the range of values in pictorial format, or either you can also retrieve three-dimensional pictorial form of plot. You can also plot the vectors, streamlines, and as well as you can generate the animations. So these are the various options for the post-processing methods. But again, I mentioned that again at the end I mentioned this quote that when you getting the solution with the help of theoretical approach or computational approach, nobody is actually believing. But if it is an experimental approach, then everybody is believing except you. Now why it is so? Because the wrong selection of solver will give you the wrong answer. If you are not generate appropriate mesh, then also you will land it with wrong answer. The solver will always give answer, but who is telling you that answer will correct or not? So for that you need to follow this steps. See, these are the steps to ensure your authenticity of your result. First one is validation. Validation, that means before you start to solve your problem into software, you should find out the work which is carried out by means of experiment. From that experimental work, you just regenerate that problem in your CFD. That means you exactly use similar dimensions, similar boundary conditions, and solve that problem and come out with the solution and compare that solution with the available experimental data, and then you can actually claim that your selection of solver, your mesh discretization will not wrong at all. It is having quite reasonable solution, so you can proceed with that combination. As well as you can also ensure the conversion criteria. What conversion criteria means? When you solve the governing equation, I mentioned that it will give you approximate solution. Approximate solution, that means the right hand side, let's say if it is a momentum equation, that means F is equal to m, that is force is equal to mass into acceleration. So whatever force term, calculation of force term, that must be equal to the product of mass into acceleration. But it is the case for the exact solution. When you go with the analytical solution, there is always deviation between right hand side and left hand side. So that deviation is ultimately reflected as an error. Even in the experiment, that instrument having certain error, that is referred as accuracy and uncertainty. In the similar fashion, in the CFD, the deviation between right hand side and left hand side of the equation is reflected as an error or deviation, and that error must be minimized. So that error you can assign by means of conversion criteria. Your conversion, you should always put the lowest possible conversion criteria so that the approximate solution is reach near to the exact solution. So this is how you can increase the validity, authenticity of your solution, and you can approach near to that exact solution. You should always ensure the size of the mesh element. It is observed that if you are, let's say, in the flow through pipe, one person find out the pressure loss with the help of 10,000 mesh elements, and another person will find out the pressure loss with the 20,000 mesh elements for the same boundary conditions. But in both cases, it is observed that the pressure loss, the calculated pressure loss with the CFD is different. That means it should not different, because with similar boundary condition the answer must be similar. But that is the limitations of CFD. The result of CFD is always depending on the mesh size. So one should ensure the minimum amount of mesh size. So you have to refine your mesh up to certain limit so that your result will not depend on your mesh. And then that mesh you have to use for your further study. That methodology or that process is actually called as a grid independent study or grid refinement study. So once you cross check this all points, definitely the result, whatever result you are generating, that is having more authentic, and the people never able to reject that kind of results, right? So with this I just stop, and just I want to show you if it is possible, then yes. These are see now it is related to our dissertation work. I want to show you certain work which is carried out by my students with the help of CFD, which will give you a little idea about what kind of work you can carried out with the help of this solvers. So these are undergraduate students in 2014. Thus, these students are actually simulate the external flow problems, flow over this truck or vehicle. The objective is to minimize the drag experience in this truck. So they initially they calculated the total drag is in the range of 0.94 without any modification. This truck is generating this much amount of drag coefficient ultimately. By incorporating various elements, finally he was concluded that with the help of this roof spoiler, the drag coefficient is reduced up to 0.59. So this is what I want to tell you. Even if you are having a number of ideas, but instead of ideas, you have to provide the information, that is analysis. With the help of analysis, you can ensure your ideas. Suppose everybody know that if we are providing some kind of element over here, then definitely the drag will reduce. But what should be the shape of that element? So for that we are trying this different shapes, like it is a triangle, or it is a this kind of shape, or simple block this passage between this tractor and trailer. So in all cases, after analysis, this is the conclusion, and this is what the objective of dissertation or any project work. After studying everything, you are come out with certain conclusion, and you can strongly claim that these are not appropriate way, but this is better way to reduce the drag in this kind of vehicle. This is one example. This is simple. Graduate students done this thing. Here my objective is to show you different types of physics, right? This is the simple fluid mechanics problem, viscous problem. Now in this problem we are incorporating heat transfer, right? The conduction and convection heat transfer. This is the conduction heat transfer problem and convection heat transfer problem. See, this is the vapor chamber. Might be you are aware or not. See this. See, in the electronic device, this is the chip. See, bottom side, the square chip, it is continuously emitting the heat. If you are not remove that heat, then definitely that chip will burn out. The temperature of that chip is very high, and then performance of that chip will deteriorated. Even in laptop, computer, in even automobile, in control unit, there is a, see, in lot of devices nowadays chips are available. Even in your mobiles, the chip, the processing chips are there. So that chip continuously emitting the heat. So you have to remove that heat. So see, generally this is the heat spreader. If simply you provide the heat spreader over that chip, then the temperature is reducing. But see, the how much reduction we are getting, that is in the range of 90 degrees. Still the maximum temperature in this chip is 90 degrees. The bottom side, without any heat spreader, the temperature is in the range of 400 degrees Celsius. But if you are providing heat spreader, then the temperature is reaching the range of 90 degrees. But that the novel concept that is called as a vapor chamber. That vapor chamber with the use of graphite foam. Here we are providing graphite foam at various locations, and by providing that graphite foam, we are able to remove heat very efficiently, and the temperature in that case is in the range of 53 or 54 degrees Celsius. So this is how you can claim. See, the problem is, you just identified the problem. Problem is what? How to remove heat from this chip so that the chip is maintaining at a desirable temperature, not exceed for 100 degrees Celsius or 200. For that, what are the efficient approaches? So these are one of the approaches, vapor chamber. This is the traditional vapor chamber, but we are proposing this kind of graphite foam based vapor chamber. So how efficiently it is, you can show by mean of analysis. See, this is the analysis. This is conduction problem. This is the convection problem, in which the bottom side we are having hot plate. On that hot plate, suppose we wish to remove heat continuously by mean of jet impingement. This is the method called as jet impingement. So with the help of jet impingement, how the thing will behave? See, this is the at different flow rate or Reynolds number, the temperature distribution. Through the temperature distribution, we can conclude that with the help of this much of Reynolds number, we can able to maintain this hot plate at a uniform temperature. These are the temperature profile. However, with this 3000 Reynolds number, there are a hot spot still present in this hot plate. So this is how we can one can work with the heat transfer problem. This is conduction as well as this is the convection problem, right? My point is to highlight you different types of or different physics of the problem which we already solved by mean of either graduate student or postgraduate student. Now I mentioned that conjugated heat transfer is little complicated. See, here we are only considering conduction. In this case we are only considering convection. But if it is a conduction convection case, see, this is the turbine blade, which is again always experience the hot temperature of that combustion product. Now if we wish to provide the cooling to this turbine blade, we need to provide a channel through which coolant can pass. So that coolant ultimately absorb the heat which will propagated through the solid material in this blade. So that fluid will actually in motion. So during the motion, whatever heat will absorb, it is referred as a convection heat. And whatever heat will penetrated inside this solid material is ultimately conduction heat. So parallelly, we have to calculate convection as well as conduction. So initially, by providing this single hole, the maximum temperature, surface temperature of blade is observed 1500 degrees Celsius, right? But if you carefully design the hole, this is what actually the work is, alright? By providing different configuration of cooling hole or cooling channels, in this case, or either in this case, we restrict the maximum temperature in the range of 1200 degrees Celsius without doing anything. See, without changing the material of blade itself, with the same hot combustion product, the surface temperature of this blade can be restricted or can be reduced from 1500 degrees Celsius to 1200 degrees Celsius approximately. So this is how you can identify the area in which you can work, right? So this is conjugated heat transfer problem. And finally, the complex one, I mentioned that rather than conjugated heat transfer, we have the multi-phase flow problem. So this is, see, it's look very simple, but what I mentioned that the solution is quite difficult when you are dealing with multi-phase kind of problem. In this case, very simple problem. From this passage, the air is entering. From this passage, liquid will entering, and air and liquid will mix in this channel. This is mini channel having very small diameter. That's why it is referred as a mini channel. At a time being, at different time steps, how this bubble will generated within that mini channel is showing over here. This is kind of referred as a Taylor bubble or slug flow. So that slug flow we can capture with the help of this multi-phase approach. Right now in this the volume of fluid model I had used. This is what actually multi-phase model, as well as in the multi-phase problem we are using the volume of fluid model. This is also case of multi-phase flow problem, but here it is use of mixture model, mixture multi-phase model. So what I said that based on your problem you have to identify the suitable sub model. Here we are using VOF model, but in this case we are using mixture model. This is the fuel injector. In the fuel injector, the diesel is actually come out from this nozzle, and then atomization will happen. When that diesel is come out from this nozzle, because of the sudden contraction in area, that diesel experience the drastic decrement in the pressure, and because of that drop in pressure, at certain point it will reach below saturation pressure, and the bubble formation will start. That is called as cavitation, right? Within this fuel injector nozzle, we identified the phenomena called as the cavitation, right? So this is cavitation inside this nozzle of fuel injector. So that is cavitation, that means bubble formation, vapor bubble formation. That means here it is liquid flow, but here it is gaseous flow. So two-phase flow problem. So that two-phase flow problem very efficiently we captured with the help of this mixture model. For different pressure difference, that cavitation intensity can be increasing. This is called as a initiation of cavitation, called as a cavitation inception, and then when this cavitation will reach at the outlet of nozzle, that is called the cavitation slip. And this is the very gray area in which nowadays people are working. They find out that that this cavitation slip will helping the atomization process, and if atomization will better, then we will get the better combustion, and efficiency of engine can be improved by means of this phenomena called as the cavitation. And I want to telling you that, see, this fuel injector nozzle having a size in the range of 0.3 mm. So it is like the needle size, right? So experimentally never it is possible to find out what happened inside that nozzle, which is in the which is having a size of 0.3 mm. Can you imagine what 0.3 mm is? So within that 0.3 mm nozzle, it is very complicated. It is next to impossible to find out the flow behavior inside that fuel injector nozzle. So these are the area where you must have to go with the computational fluid dynamics with appropriate methods. So these are the highest complexity level in the CFD. And the recent also I mentioned that there is a with the help of transient problem you can actually got the animations kind of thing. This is the spray simulation which we had done in the last year only. Fuel will injected through this narrow passage, and this frame is ultimately it is run by means of 10,000 frame per second. If you are having a high speed camera which is of 10,000 frame per second, see, the entire simulation is done for 33 seconds, but this will happen, the fuel injection process will happen within 0.3 millisecond, 0.3 millisecond, within this 0.3 millisecond. This, so even this is not a complete spray any mission, but still there are a downstream length in which the fuel spray will penetrate it. But you just imagine how the each and individual particle will move in this direction, and through that you can decide, you can improve the atomization behavior of this kind of spray, which will never possible with the help of traditional experimental approach. But because this fuel injection is very rapid process, finish within microseconds, so how can you capture with the help of the experimental ways? How can you capture that cylinder is not transparent entity? So that is very complicated way. So with this we wind up this session. You can extend your work up to, there is no limitations